Today on Idol Worship, it is overcast. It's very melancholic outside. It's kind of depressing. Today we're talking about Montgomery Clift, who died of what is most commonly known as Hollywood's slowest suicide. Montgomery Clift is the cinema's most beautiful loser. I particularly love him in films like The Misfits, films like Red River, and of course, A Place in the Sun with Liz Taylor, who was one of his best friends throughout his entire life. There might not be an actor, a sex symbol, pinnacle of male beauty, as self-hating as Montgomery Clift was, as self-defeating as Montgomery Clift was. The Misfits I just brought up, I love that film. It is so, if you want to talk about breaking the fourth wall, this one breaks the fourth wall, but in the future, if that makes any sort of sense. I have a love letter on this film. Definitely give it a watch. I'll link it in right now. It's haunting. It is haunting. It's about three ghosts of sex and beauty and lust kind of just screaming at you through the screen. And some films are haunted, and when a film's haunted, the light never fades and it never wanes, and Montgomery Clift's light never fades. The Misfits is fantastic. Even has a whole metaphor in there about him trying to ride a horse at a rodeo, which is deliberately evokes his heroin issues that he had later in his life after his attempted suicide in a car accident leaving Elizabeth Taylor's house, where he broke every bone in his face, forever altering his appearance. And his appearance was golden. His appearance was one of the most beautiful things ever photographed, ever realized on film, was Montgomery Clift's beauty, male beauty. Good God, you have to think of Red River, him being the antidote, him being the opposite of John Wayne's virility, John Wayne's manliness, John Wayne's old traditional manliness, because Montgomery Clift is a new kind and is translated over to his other films, including A Place in the Sun, which was by and large a scathing critique of the American dilemma. Right, it was very anti-American, it was lovely, but they had to mask it as something that was anti-lustful because it came out during the McCarthy era. So it couldn't necessarily be completely forward in what its intentions were, but that veil is a very thin veil. And both Red River and A Place in the Sun, Montgomery Clift is this new kind of masculinity, one that is in touch with its femininity, one that is very sensitive, almost hypersensitive. And Montgomery Clift as a person most likely was a bisexual man who hated the fact that he was so. He really liked women, but he loved men in bed, as one of his quotes go. I'm not sure how substantiated that quote is, but I mean, he went to therapy, he went to conversions, he tried not to be as attracted to men as he was. He was the epitome of self-hate. And what's gorgeous about this, when he broke every bone in his body, he really stopped working so much. He started taking pills, had a huge drug addiction. The self-defeatedness of his personality just took over. Even from the beginning, his persona was his instability. Montgomery Clift's persona was his unstable nature, was not knowing when he would implode, but knowing that he would eventually. Idol worship is meant to look at these people who had to be photographed, who had to be documented, or else you would not have believed they ever truly existed, and Montgomery Clift is a prime example of this. He was also immensely talented, one of the finest actors of his generation, arguably the first to bring that actor studio method to Hollywood films, before Brando did in A Streetcar Named Desire. In fact, in 1950, 1951 or 1950, I can't exactly remember right now, but A Streetcar Named Desire and A Place in the Sun both came out in the very same year, and both films changed the acting world forever, and neither Brando nor Clift, who changed the acting world by adding a authenticity, a naturalistic authenticity. Neither one of those actors were recognized by the Academy with an award for changing the world. And that's phenomenal to me. That's incredible. Montgomery Clift was insanely, remarkably talented. And his self-hate was always there in his films. You always felt cosmically sad for him. You cosmically pitied this beautiful Apollo, this beautiful god among men. Even when his face was completely altered for the rest of his life after that, at that car accident, which most likely was a suicide attempt, I mean, almost certainly was a suicide attempt, which started his long suicide that ended decades later, he was still gorgeous. He was still gorgeous, yet the god's bones had shifted places. Montgomery Clift is amazing. When he appears on screen, the only word you can think of is legend. And everything in the room stops. And when he transcends, when he gets a very remarkably astute and good close-up, and has one of those readings that are more than authentic, that pierce your very soul, I swear to God, time itself just stops for a moment, and you are in that cinematic moment with Montgomery Clift. He elevates the films that he is in, because when you are filming magic, when you are filming an idol, when you are capturing an idol correctly in all of his glory, it's impossible not to be completely mesmerized and spellbound by that figure. And Montgomery Clift is one of the easiest magicians of beauty on screen. Montgomery Clift is one of the most tragic tales in Hollywood because it was so slow, everyone saw it coming. It's not like people didn't try to reverse the irreversible. Liz Taylor certainly tried, but Liz Taylor certainly failed. And most people like to believe that he truly died after that car accident, a mangled mess in Liz Taylor's arms. And I believe that as well. That's when Montgomery Clift truly died. All the years after that, he was a corpse. A walking dead, a member of the Walking Dead, everyone would agree with that. His films, though, his films will never die. His films will never pass away. His films will always be here. To Montgomery Clift. Hope you enjoyed this installment, this video of idol worship. Had to do Montgomery Clift, one of the most beautiful figures ever photographed on screen, and also one of the most talented actors on the face of the planet. A man that not only revolutionized male beauty on screen by adding a sensitivity, by adding a very intimate kind of emotionality to his masculinity, but also a man who completely revolutionized, altered, changed, and pioneered screen acting into the method, into the newfound authenticity and realism. He and Brando did that, but Clift came first. Clift added that authenticity first, and should be recognized just as much as Brando is, if not more, for changing the way that modern screen acting is viewed. Thank you very much for watching this video. I would subscribe to this channel if I were you, because I like getting subscribers. Most of the time we have bright lights coming through here, but neo-realist YouTube channels like myself, who use natural lighting and one takes, by the way, we are at the whims and mercy of Mother Nature. So other times we'll have the sun pouring in here and I will look just gorgeous, have my own idol worship eventually, you know, and it'll be all good, all great, all copacetic, all wonderful, all groovy. But thank you very much for watching this video. This has been Montgomery Clift, Idol Worship. In the comments, what is your favorite Montgomery Clift performance? This is actually a tough one, because every performance he gave, if he wasn't, even when he was actually in sleepwalking mode, was transcendental. I know that a lot of us film fans use that word kind of just willy-nilly, but he was incredible. It doesn't matter. He was gorgeous in every sense of the term, even when he was sleepwalking through his later life, barely working. he was still great. He was still one of the best actors in the face of the earth, just like Brando was later on in life, not learning his lines with his little earpiece, just not caring. Still did better than anyone else in that film. So what is your favorite Montgomery Clift performance? What do you think of Montgomery Clift? And what do you think of Monty and Liz's friendship, relationship? Because that's I think, one of the greatest relationships in all of cinema history. I love those two. A Place in the Sun is a phenomenal movie. George Stevens did a phenomenal job because it's about the facade of the American dream crumbling away, and he edits the film in such a remarkably just astute way that it does feel very dreamlike. So you are literally watching something that is stitched together, composed, a film like a dream, being completely obliterated by Montgomery Clift's own just natural tendencies to be epidemic to himself, and his own lustful qualities that are endemic of America. And A Place in the Sun is wonderful, and that's probably Liz Taylor's best movie, but Montgomery Clift's might be Red River, The Misfits, or A Place in the Sun. It's really a toss-up between those three. Those are gorgeous, gorgeous films. Yeah, and if you were to do an idol worship, who are some people that you know you would do? Who are some people that are at the top of your list? Like, I could talk about these people for hours. Just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much. My name is Zachary Conan, and I hope you've been doing well.